good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Paul K. Dunn, returning once again, owner advisor of J & Sons Retirement Advisors, protecting the future of my community. I'm also proudly supporting Project 1000 mission, okay? Financially empowering 1,000 family and friends in 2017. And we are getting it in. Okay, today, day number 3. Enemy of your money, number 3, inflation. And we call this the moving cost of living. Okay, so before we'll just do a quick recap. And before we go over anything further, we just want to make sure you know this is day 3. If you have not went through the intro, day 1 and day 2, I urge you to stop the recording, start from the beginning, take the information in the order that we put it out, just so that you can master it to the best of your ability in the way we've put it together. We did it this way so that you have the best chance of absorbing the information correctly. After you've listened to it in order, feel free to listen to, you can listen to it out of order there, in order of, where you may find confusion. Always remember, we do have the group out there for any questions. Hashtag financially empowered. You will find us. But there's many links to the group. You will find it below or above, wherever the link happens to be for this recording. Just always look for that. Do not be shy. Do not be afraid to ask questions. There are no dumb questions when it comes to financial intelligence, because we believe that no one's being taught, or not no one, but the majority of people aren't being taught this information. So to fear asking the right questions would only hurt your financial future from this point. Okay. So from there, we just want to make sure you know where you are today. You catch up. If you've been with us through the first 2 days, I thank you, welcome you back. And today's topic is inflation. Inflation, by economic definition, is a general increase in prices and a fall in the purchasing value of money. This means the value of money is getting weaker as prices increase. At some point, it has to reach zero or move down. That's why I consider it to be the moving cost rather than rising or declining. Because I think there was a couple of years, just starting out with currency and changing of money, I'm pretty sure there were some years where the cost of living went down. It didn't go up. It's just we've been on this hike upwards for so long that inflation has just, it's just been put on our mind as always rising. But the reality is we consider it to be a moving cost of living. Okay. We simply can't be sure what the government will decide if the dollar gets too low. It has the potential to go either way, but lately it's only been rising. To make things worse, the rise in costs of goods and services are not matching the employment wages. Most people I know don't get raises that match inflation every year. It just doesn't happen. Some unions do it, some jobs do it, but very few. In some states, the financial equality gap is massive between rich and middle class. Those who are savvy with money have a different experience of crashing markets than the majority. If you understand currency as defined above, you will understand that your money can never be still. Okay, now we did do a definition of currency in day 1, and that's why it's so important that you go back and you walk yourself through it. Because if you understand the definition of currency, if you understand the definition of a current, period, like electricity, that's a current. If it doesn't move, it's not useful. Okay, a river has a current. If the current isn't moving, it's not useful. Okay, when water stands still, it dries up, goes away. If electricity doesn't move from the power source to your home, you get no electricity. That's how important currency is, because it's the same exact definition for money. If you're not growing your money every year higher than the inflation, at least, then you are losing money every year. So savers, people who save money in accounts, they're losers. They're losing the game because as that money sits there, not growing, the value of it is going backwards. It's declining. So the savers are they've turned savers into losers. People who just who sit their money aside. They've helped them and found a way to take the money from them now by making the cost of living continue to rise, which makes that money less valuable, okay, over time. Okay. Now, this concept, as we described it with the river, to paint a more vivid picture of a river, this concept is why most Americans are struggling. Okay. And the picture of a river that I want you to just sort of hold in your mind is if a current is steady, the river lives, it flows, and it's vibrant with life. However, if it becomes still, it dries, and whatever stays around it dies. Okay? Especially if it doesn't return to its moving state. If it's still and it dries up and there's no way for that water to return back to its flowing state, any animals that live around there, they will die. Any wildlife, any plant life that can't grow in that type of environment will die. And the same thing happens with our money, okay? Why a lot of Americans are struggling. Their money is constantly moving away from them, okay? It doesn't stop moving, but it's now moving away from them. And just the sheer principle of having your money sit still in a savings account because of inflation causes it to move downwards in value. So at all times, money's moving. Either it's going up or it's going down. And when you understand this principle, it will give you more of a sense of urgency to make sure that your money is going into the right vehicles and that those vehicles are always moving upwards at a certain pace. Okay? That's the main key that we want to just paint home. We want to drive that point home as often as possible. Okay? The solution to defeating inflation is changing the direction of your currency to up. Stop letting your money move away from you and go down. If you use the solution for bad spending habits, which was consuming cash flow assets, that's a great step forward. If you then put that money to work using compound interest, which is a special type of interest that they consider to be a phenomenon in banking, now you have a real money machine. Okay, learning how to use compound interest is going to be critical to how you save money from this point forward. Compound interest, by definition, is interest calculated on the initial principal, which means the amount that you put in, the amount that was yours, and also on the accumulated interest of the previous periods of a deposit or a loan. Okay, so let's look at an example. If an amount of $5,000 is deposited into a savings account at an annual interest rate of 5%, compounded monthly, the value of the investment after 10 years is $8,235. If we take the same investment but use simple interest, now this is the interest that you don't want. This is the interest that the banks love to give you, but in return, compound interest is the one they love to charge you. Okay, so if you did that same scenario using simple interest, okay, and we gave the same $5,000 to the bank, and they gave us simple interest, you'd have $7,500, which is a loss of over $700. And even though this is a small amount, and I've used small amounts for a reason, but even though this is a small amount, imagine if you did have lots of money. The difference would just grow, right? You lose money by choosing simple interest over compound interest. So that's your new rule of the day. Compound interest is your money machine, okay? So let's put these numbers to work over a longer period. Okay, this is where the big numbers can come in. Over a longer period of time, and then let's reverse the effect to show the power of compound interest. Okay, and what you can do is you can go to the blog and you can follow along with this example, so that you can stop, pause, and go over the numbers, let them sink in so that you can understand what we're saying. Because to be confused is what the financial industry wants. Okay, to be confused is not what we want. So any confusion here, go look over it, ask all the questions you need to. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set an example of some twins. Okay, a set of 35-year-old twin brothers want to retire at 65. That's 30 years. Okay, they both want to retire with $1 million nest egg. Twin number one has no idea about money and gets advice to grow his money using compound interest of 5%. Twin number two, he knows that compound interest is the key to retiring young and rich. So he secures a higher interest of 12% compound interest. Okay, so that's the second rule. That's the second lesson. We'll just stop there. It's rule number one, compound interest is your money machine. Rule number two, the amount of compound interest makes your machine go faster. Okay? It makes that machine spit out money at a faster rate. It doubles your money quicker. Okay, so let's look at the accounts. After the accounts are set up, the twins met up to discuss what the numbers turned out to be. Twin number one would have to put in $231,000 to achieve his goal. So what that means is right now, if you want to use 5% compound interest, which is what twin number one wanted to do, he wanted to use the 5% interest because this is what his advisor, his trusted advisor, told him. He said, look, this is what we can get you, 5% interest. So if you wanna go with that deal, what I'm gonna need from you in order to hit the nest egg that you require of $1 million, you need to hand me $231,377. You may not have to do that now, but that is what you will need to acquire well before your 35 or your 30 years is up. Okay, and that needs to grow. It needs to be able to grow for 30 years. So essentially, even if he didn't get it today, that other enemy that we talked about before, procrastination, the longer he waited, this number would actually rise. It would go up because you're not growing. All those years that you're not putting that amount in, your money isn't growing. So it's going to mess up the formula. So let's just say, for argument's sake, twin number one, he has this in his account. He has $500,000. He's just sold a home. He has this in his account, and he's saying, look, you need 231. You got to give it to us, and this is what we're going to let grow for the next year, and you'll get your $1 million. Okay? Now, twin number two, he laughs, and he says, my number was 33,377 to hit the same goal. So let's just stop and put this in perspective. Let's just say both twins only had so much saved. They both sold their home. They partnered in a home. They each got $500,000. That's all they have left. Okay? And let's just split that up. Let's say 500,000 is in the account, but let's say they only get 250 each because the home was both of theirs. Now, twin number one, he owes 231,000 of his 250,000 in order to get his nest egg to $1 million by retirement, right? And that's pretty much going to leave him with 20,000 to live on. Whereas twin number two, he hiked the interest, the compound interest, and he pays 33,000, which is almost 6 times less than what his brother had to pay, leaving him with almost 200,000 left. And now you can see what the difference is when you understand how to use your money and how to use the tools of compound interest, understanding the rules. Okay? So that would be a difference of nearly 198,000 just to get the same result. And that's massive. Twin number one, twin number 1 would have to pay, or we'd have to produce 6 times more than twin number 2. And that's definitely working harder, not smarter. Okay, so now you can see the power of understanding compound interest. Simply put, compound interest is your money tree. It breeds money. The higher the interest rate, the faster your money doubles itself. This is the bank's secret to their success. They give you access to a low, simple interest percentage, deals that they control, and then they charge you a high percent of compound interest on credit cards and loans they give you back. Okay, so they allow you to save using simple interest, which is bad for you, and then they charge you compound interest, which is good for them. Okay, stop letting your bank get all the money to themselves and learn how to shift compound interest in your favor. Today, I just want you to just soak that in. Compound interest is going to be your money machine. Okay, so when you learn how to get money, financial rule number 1, make your money, and then financial rule number 2, protect your money. Once you get those 2 things in place and you start leveraging your money, which is financial intelligence number 4, you just want to make sure that compound interest is a part of that leverage, and you're looking for the highest amount that you can get. Okay, that is the key to success. So until the next time, I want to wish you prosperity, abundance, and success in all that you do. This is Paul K. Dunn. I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.